Today I'm going to make a purse shaped like a fox, completely in my embroidery machine. I have hooped some paper tearaway into my hoop and I've attached it to my machine. I've loaded my pattern from Urban Threads and I have my fabric ready to sew the first shape. After removing my hoop from my machine, I'm going to carefully cut away the excess as close to the stitching as possible without tearing the paper or cutting through the stitching. At this point, I've sewn the detail for the strap that's going to be attached to the purse. And what you see here are guidelines for where to put the tab. So you're going to want to make sure that the tab is lined up exactly at the bottom where there's a stitch that comes out on the sides. And the loop is going to be facing the top of the purse. And make sure that when you have it lined up, it's very square. Here I'm about to sew the second strap onto the purse. On the first strap, you can see where I put some tape to hold the bottom and the top. I made sure that I placed the tape so that the stitching would not interfere with the tape. If it does, it gets stuck in the stitching. I'm going to make sure that this is well lined up so that my square and my X is where it belongs on this tab. This is going to be the credit card holder for the inside of the purse. There will be 4 pockets on the inside, and you need to begin with a piece of fabric that is wider by at least twice the width of the back of the purse where it's going to go. So find the center of your fabric. This is a 14-inch piece of fabric. Here is the center. From the center, you're going to measure up 1.5 inches and mark. That mark creates the line for the fold. Take this to your iron and fold toward the back, wrong sides together. Open the fabric back up, take that fold and measure up 3.5 inches. Take the fold and bring it up to that 3.5 inch mark and secure. Measure from this fold, measure down 4 inches. This will be where you want to press. You'll press another fold to the back of the fabric, unfold it, take this fold and place it 1 inch below the first fold. Secure and press. open the folds and sew a scant top stitch from each edge. This will create a finished edge for the top of your credit card pocket. Find the center. When you found the center, sew a line to secure the center pocket. Measure over from this center and sew again 3 5/8 inch from this stitching. So again, do the same thing for the other side. When you're done, you'll have a secure fit for your credit cards with a little bit of extra room to put them back in there. And that's how you prepare the pockets for the inside of the purse. So at this step, I cut away the excess from the pocket square that I made, and I left some seam allowance between the stitching that attached it and where the final stitching is going to be for the edge of the purse. That way, when the purse sews, this lining doesn't pull out after some time. This is the final step before the embroidery goes back into the machine. I finished the front piece and I've placed the snap before I sewed this piece on that has the credit card slips. Here I'm ready to prepare the layers before I put this hoop back into my machine. This is the back of the hoop. I want to make sure that my flat piece of lining is covering the entire edge of the front part of the purse. Then I'm going to lay the zippered portion face up, and I'm going to make sure that the zipper is horizontal and laying perfectly straight in the purse. And I'm going to use the measurement on my board to be sure that this is centered on the purse. And I want to make sure that it is laying inside the purse far enough that when I open the flap, there's a bit of space before the zipper opens. I'll measure that precisely, and then I'll put pins from the front of the hoop into the back to hold this piece. I've removed my hoop from my machine after it's sewn this line in preparation for the satin stitching. On the opposite side, I still have a lot of excess fabric, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on this piece, and that is to leave some fabric in between the sewing and the edge of the purse, so that repeated use and pull doesn't pull the stitching, pull the fabric out of the stitching once the purse is finished. Last look before it goes into the machine. I have trimmed about 1/8 of an inch from the stitching for the inside of the purse and the stitching edge for the outside of the purse. Any fabric that extends beyond this stitch is going to show on the outside of the purse in the form of fraying. I'm going to take this and put it back into my machine after I've positioned this piece. I will tape this piece here and along the sides with a paper tape to secure. When I take it into the machine, I'm going to re-sew this stitch right here, and that will secure this piece. Then I will remove the tape and do the final stitch that finishes the edge. It's a good idea when you tape the back of the hoop, you tape this piece to the back of the hoop to place the tape so that it doesn't interfere with the stitching, so that you have easy removal on this part. I've taken my hoop out of my machine one more time before I sew the satin stitch. I want to make sure that the stitching along the edge all the way around the front of the purse matches up and aligns well with the front of the purse. If this doesn't match up, you can always just take a seam ripper and rip out that one row of stitching. The next step is very important. Make sure now that your bobbin is the same thread as the top of the machine. So when this gets stitched, it will all match on the bottom as well as the top. When I take the purse out of the hoop, carefully tear the paper so that you don't pull the stitches. And this is our finished product. We have a zipper, we have our credit card slots, and we have a pretty generous area here for a purse. It's just for carrying basics. The snap closure works really well, but when I made it, I had the snap closure on the wrong side of the leather purse. Obviously, the snap does not go on the pretty part of the purse. You may have noticed that in the other parts of the video. It is remedied by taking this apart and moving the snap to here. And now I'll have to hand sew this together. So now it's onto this strap, and this is going to have some sort of pretty embellishment right there to cover my mistake. Here I'm sewing the strap for the purse, the finished purse that goes here, and I have two pieces that I'm sewing together. I use clips to hold the edges, and I avoid using glue because glue is very messy. So you can use these kind of binder clips, or you could use office binder clips. Just don't leave them on very long because they can leave an indent in your fabric. Here's the front of the purse where I have placed the embellishment to cover my mistake. When you make this purse, you need to place the snap in the lining before you put the two pieces together. This was great fun to make, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment below, and I will see you next time.